Cannabis is currently a Class B drug in the UK, and I don't think it should be. So here is why I think weed should be legalised, taxed and regulated. So let's look at the history of the legal status of cannabis within the UK, as it wasn't always illegal. In fact, it was first made illegal in 1928 in accordance with the 1925 International Opium Convention. This added cannabis as an addendum to the Dangerous Drugs Act of 1920. Cannabis was first registered as a Class B drug, making it illegal to possess or to sell. It was, however, moved down from a Class B to a Class C from 2004 to 2009, meaning you wouldn't be arrested for possession. And in 2012, the Home Affairs Select Committee produced a report on the UK's drug policies. The committee was split on if to recommend reducing the classification of cannabis back to Class C. A vote was held in the committee on the inclusion of the following sentence. We remain, however, of the view expressed in our predecessor's report, namely that cannabis be reclassified from Class B to Class C, and therefore regret the decision taken by the government in 2008. The vote was tied 3-3, but then the chair, Keith Vads, voted to keep the sentence in the report, and so the report recommended reducing the classification of cannabis from Class B to Class C. In July of 2018, it was announced by Sajid Javid that medical cannabis would be made available in extreme clinical circumstances. This would include things like CBD oil. He did say, however, this was not a step towards legalization. However, you could argue because it was this current government's Home Affairs Select Committee that produced the report recommending the reduction of cannabis from Class B to Class C that they should do it. You could even go further, arguing that because it used to be legal in the UK, it still should be. But I digress. Now, let's look at the reason weed is illegal. Supposedly, drugs are illegal because they are harmful and would threaten society if they were allowed to be used. So, is weed dangerous? Short answer, no it's not. Long answer, still no. One reason for this is because it is pretty much impossible to overdose on cannabis. This doesn't come from me, this comes from Judge Francis L., who said in a 1988 Department of Justice/DEA brief, in layman terms, this means that in order to induce death, a marijuana smoker would have to consume 20,000 to 40,000 times as much marijuana as is contained in one marijuana cigarette. NIDA supplied marijuana cigarettes would weigh approximately 0.9 grams. A smoker would theoretically have to consume nearly 1,500 pounds of marijuana within about 15 minutes to induce a lethal response. So you'd have to smoke about 680 kilograms of weed in 15 minutes to overdose. I don't think anyone's really doing that. So because of the insane amount of cannabis you would need to smoke to overdose, there has been 0 reported overdoses from cannabis. The CDC backs this up, having never reported an overdose from cannabis. So it is safe for the individual to consume, but would it be safe for society to let people consume it freely? I would argue that it is. This is because, according to a study done by the Economic Journal, states that border Mexico and have legalized marijuana have seen a reduction in violent crime rates of about 13%. This is because cannabis would be taken off of the black market and out of the hands of organised criminals. And like alcohol, this would make the whole process of producing, selling and consuming weed safer. The reason cannabis is illegal is supposedly because it would be harmful for the individual to consume and it would be harmful for society to let it be consumed freely. So, the fact that there have been 0 reported overdoses from cannabis would suggest that it is safe for the individual to consume, and the fact that it is linked to a 13% reduction in violent crime rates would suggest it is actually safer for society to let it be legal than to make it illegal. Cannabis has also been demonstrated to have the potential for many medical benefits. These are things such as helping dealing with chronic pain, helping dealing with muscle spasms, helping to control epileptic seizures, and it has also been shown to stop cancer spreading in cell cultures. This is just a few of the many potential medical benefits cannabis has to offer. Not only does cannabis demonstrate the potential for many medical benefits, The UK government must also recognise these medical benefits, as the UK is the largest producer of medical marijuana in the world. The UK government must therefore have had to say that it's okay for these pharmaceutical companies to produce such large amounts of weed. Now, it doesn't make sense to me why we allow pharmaceutical companies to research medical marijuana and export large amounts of medical marijuana and still not let the UK citizens reap the benefits of such research. This supports the argument that cannabis should be legalised medically. However, I also think cannabis should be legalised recreationally. One argument for recreational legalisation would be the amount of tax revenue and employment it could potentially generate. According to a report from Health Poverty Action, legalising cannabis could bring in 1 to 3.5 billion a year for the UK. And as the UK still has a budget deficit, this could be extremely useful. Not only would legalising cannabis generate tax revenue, it would also decrease public expenditure, as the UK government needs to spend less money on fighting cannabis-related crimes. So their tax revenue would increase and their expenditure would decrease, further helping to fight the budget deficit. However, police in several areas of the UK have pretty much admitted to decriminalising it for personal use. In fact, Durham Police Chief Mike Barton has said he wouldn't conduct raids on people who were growing a couple of plants for personal use, so even some police agree it should be legalised. In fact, prosecutions for cannabis possession have dropped 19% since 2015, suggesting that a lot of the police in the UK are already implementing decriminalisation for personal use. So, what do the people of the UK think about all this? Well, according to a BMG research poll, the majority of Brits support legalisation of cannabis so it could be sold like alcohol and tobacco, with 51% supporting it and only 35% opposing it. In fact, Brits see cannabis as less harmful than tobacco and alcohol. So if drugs are illegal because they are harmful, and we allow tobacco and alcohol to be sold despite their harmfulness, and people view cannabis as less harmful than both of those, surely cannabis should also be allowed to be sold. So, to summarise, cannabis is a safe substance with no reported deaths ever. It has many potential medical benefits. It would generate tax revenue and reduce public expenditure. It would take away money from organised crime. The police are already starting to decriminalise it, and the public wants it legalised. So, I think cannabis should be legalised, taxed and regulated like alcohol and cigarettes. Thanks for watching. If you liked what I had to say or found what I said engaging, please drop a like and let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. And if you like this type of content and would like to see more, please feel free to subscribe. So, until next time.